on the set in 3, 2, 1, going live.
All right, so here's let me back up here. Hey, Don, it's Mel. How's it going?
Hi, Mel. How are you, bro?
Another episode of HB Unplugged. How cool is that?
That's good.
Yeah, I'm Mel Craig.
I'm Don Ramsey.
And yeah, we've got a special guest today. Her name is Courtney McKenna. I'm going to have Don kind of introduce her and bring her aboard. And let's give her a big hand.
Thank you.
Well, best way for me to introduce her is to tell everybody how we met and kind of just how we've collabed on a lot of different things. But so I met her at McKenna Volkswagen about, 5 or 6 years ago because one of the salespersons wanted to put one of McKenna's buses in the pier.
Right, yeah.
At the pier event. And long story short, I said, great. And then they brought a bus and that first time, but then it was the second time they said, yeah, we're going to bring a bus. And Courtney McKenna's going to come, and she's going to be part of the event. And I said, great. And then we kind of met, and then just going to different events at McKenna Volkswagen, and her introduced me to other people, their staff, and bus ideas and just different stuff. I thought, wow, she's really got it together. And I don't know, we've been friends for a while.
Yeah.
And I've been to a couple of the events at McKenna that you've put on. So what do you do for McKenna exactly?
So I do digital marketing and events, and I actually started out doing just the one-off events because we have this giant upper lot, and during COVID times, we didn't have any inventory. So
and we put on a big show that one.
We did. That was great. We had bands, and it was just to get people together. We had the
During
outdoor
COVID.
space,
Oh, yeah.
and you can, people need people. So
Well, that's cool. And so you do a lot of the events for McKenna.
Mm-hmm.
And now we've got something special that is really a lot of fun that Don Ramsey does every year. How many years has it been now, Don? 4?
Heck no. I first did the first event for the city. It's been 10 years.
Oh,
It's
my.
2015.
Wow.
Now, the pier show itself, the way it is now, is I think this is the 5th year.
Okay.
So little by little, they kept, here, okay, now you can use this part of the pier, and now you can put a few buses on the pier. Right. And then, okay, you can do buses all the way to the main lifeguard tower.
And now then, it's the whole way.
Yeah,
and
now we have 64,000 people coming through to see this.
We'll have tens of thousands of people show up that day. It'll be...
Well, the coolest one, which Courtney and McKenna was involved in, was the big one that I felt really launched everything that you're doing, is the International Bus Day where Germany actually came in. And
that was crazy.
I mean, how awesome was that?
ID Buzz Reveal.
Yeah, the Buzz Reveal.
2022.
That's where they launched it.
Yeah.
They had 3 or 4 of them right in front on the stage. And people came from, overseas and announced it. I was blown away. And what part did you guys play in that? I'm sure McKenna played a part in that.
We weren't super involved, honestly. We had been connecting with you, and obviously we were present, but it was mostly Volkswagen of America that took the lead on that event.
Right.
And, we were just there to...
And they announced the International Bus Day. I was like, wow,
I know.
how cool is it to be there and hear that get announced?
So let me back up on that just so people know what happened. About a month before that, Visit Huntington Beach had said, "Hey Don, do you think you can get a few buses down by the bridge in front of the Hyatt Regency in the beach parking lot and just get some surfboards and kind of go surfing and just kind of hang out right there?" I said, "Yeah, why?" Well, we got some people that are going to come and check out the parking lot for an event. So I go, okay. So we get 5 buses together, and everybody goes out in the water, and we surf and hang out. And then we come back, and we're sitting down, and coming across the bridge, I see these 2 guys, kind of not dressed to go to the beach.
In suits.
Yeah.
And I see Molly from the special events supervisor for the city, and one of the ladies for Visit Huntington Beach, and they come walking down with these 2 guys, and the guys are looking at, kind of just checking out the beach, and they walk over to us and go, "Wow, these are some nice buses." And I start telling them stuff, and then I start showing them, "Hey, I do this big event on the Huntington Beach Pier," and so I started showing them all all these
photos.
pictures, and he goes, "Hey, this one guy comes over and says, do you think you could airdrop me some of those photos?" And I said, "Yeah." So I started airdropping him all these photos
Of the event on the pier.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I didn't think nothing of it. And then, they took off and, they were doing their thing. We kind of, grabbed our stuff and we split after a couple hours. Anyway, about 2 or 3 weeks after that, I get called up to the city and they said, "Well, we want to tell you that the guys that you met that day, that was Volkswagen of America, and the guy that I was dealing with was a vice president of Volkswagen of America, and they picked that venue to showcase the new ID Buzz that came out." And I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. That we're going to do this. And then they said, "And how many buses do you think you can have come to the event that we're going to do?" So I go, "I don't know. We'll see."
Yeah.
And then we had like 244 buses.
That
show
was
up to
insane.
That
Yeah.
event.
That was unreal.
Yeah, that was a great event.
Well, so you work for McKenna.
I actually have my own company, so McKenna is my client.
Oh,
Yes.
a McKenna that is subcontracted.
Yes.
Unreal.
Yes.
That's the way to go.
So I was selling cars directly for Volkswagen for a bit, because before I did more of the full-time marketing role, I really wanted to, get my hands wet and
Learn it from the ground up. Good.
yeah, and I've done sales jobs before, but mostly marketing, and it's all about how you talk about the product, right? And
If you don't know the product,
understanding
how
the
can you talk?
consumer. Yeah. So I've been doing this now since April of last year, full time officially.
Wow.
So, yeah,
And you're a musician.
I am. Mhm.
Yeah. And
Yes.
I just found out just now you have a
Yeah.
band. I thought you were I thought you were a single artist. You go play your guitar.
That
she
too.
does that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
she sent me a video of you guys. Where were you playing?
I don't remember exactly which one I sent you. I sent a playlist. So
Yeah.
we played at the Volkswagen store on Beach Boulevard, in the parking lot. We played a bunch of times in Santa Monica, South Bay, San Diego, all the way up to Santa Barbara.
And
So-
Courtney, what's the name of the band?
The Courtney McKenna Band.
The Courtney McKenna Band. Oh.
Yeah.
Doesn't get any better than that. So those of you that want to see some great music, it's the Courtney McKenna Band. What kind of
Yeah.
music do you play?
I'm really inspired by 70s and 90s rock.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's so interesting how many young people are into our music, Non. I mean, it really is a trip. How many?
Well,
it's
you
like
know, you can't- It's
you can't.
good music.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. You can't beat the best. That's just how it is.
Well,
yeah.
and I think there's just something really special about music from that era, because it's not too overproduced. And so you actually hear people playing their instruments, and you just don't hear that these days. Everything is perfectly auto-tuned, perfectly layered, chipped and chopped and put into place. And so people just aren't even used to hearing that sound anymore. So it'll never really be recreated in the way
Wow.
it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing that we got a chance to grow up. In that era, and to deal with the best music I think ever. It's just
debatable, but I agree.
Yeah, it evolved. I mean, my dad used to listen to Glenn Miller and all that, but the evolution was it just got more into. I mean, a lot of people don't know that rock and roll comes from rockabilly, and Elvis Presley. I mean, go back. I mean, it's just a trip
Blues.
to watch how it
Yeah.
really evolved from the blues, and where people actually really started getting into the guitar and stuff. And wow, what an amazing thing! So your music career, how long have you been doing music?
I have always done music in some capacity.
We haven't seen you on The Voice yet. have we?
Oh, no. I studied marketing in college, and actually I thought I wanted to do fashion because I didn't know any musicians that did music professionally.
Wow.
So, I made clothes and stuff, and I thought, well, that'll be my creative outlet. And then after school, I graduated, moved to New York City, and I didn't have my sewing machine, and I dated a guy who had a guitar, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to finally learn guitar, and I did.
Wow.
So, yeah, but I've always been singing. I grew up singing in church, and I just really fell into the rock scene of New York City when I was out there and got to play with a lot of different artists.
I bet that's like one of the, I don't know, What would you call that? That's the place to be if you want to be a musician, right?
Great opportunity.
Yeah, great opportunity.
It was my rock and roll education, if you will.
Yeah, you learned a lot. And you have your own podcast show?
I do.
Yeah, so tell us about that.
So that's new. I started that January this year. I have a new episode out every Monday, and it's all about the intersection of wellness and music.
Wait, elaborate, because that sounds cool.
Yeah.
Because I think music, there's two things that keep me going in life, and that's the waves, being in the water, the ocean. I don't know, even when I'm sick, if I paddle out, you start to feel better, your bones are, and music.
Yeah.
I mean, music takes us where you could sit there and click through and find the song you want for that minute at that time of your life. Is that sort of?
Absolutely. Well, there's so many different aspects of music and wellness, and part of it is the listening experience. Part of it is the creating experience. There's, sound healing, where you have the singing bowls and tuning forks and all the different new age instruments. And then you have sound therapy or music therapy, where you're actually like using songwriting as a means to help understand your emotions and, move past.
So wait, songwriting.
things.
So you're actually saying you're an individual like me, I would actually sit down and write lyrics and play them. Or just write them.
Well, that there's lots of different ways to make music these days. If you don't play an instrument, you can still make music with a computer. Yeah.
There was a movie. I know you've seen it. Eddie and the Cruisers.
I don't.
Oh God, you got to see it. There's Eddie and the Cruisers Part 1. Have you seen them?
No.
Oh my God, you got to see it. It's a rock and roller who grows up in New Jersey, rock and roll band. He's a full on rocker, and long story short, at the end of that movie, he's pissed off because he had a new album that he cut that was way ahead of his time. We were talking about the 1950s, right? And it was way ahead of his time, and they didn't like it. He took it to the recording studio, and they said it was garbage because he was already like way ahead of his time. This was really good music. And anyway, he has an accident, and they find his car had driven over a bridge through the guardrail, and he was nowhere to be found.
Oh no.
So Eddie and the Cruisers 2, which is the best movie, is
better than the first one.
He's actually alive. He never died. This is 20 years later, and he lives in Canada. And he meets this kid, and this kid, he goes to this bar to just watch these young kids play rock and roll. And the kid walks over, and he's talking to the kid's saxophone player. He said he knew him from years past, but he never told him his name was Eddie. He lives under the name of John West. That's his name in the movie, because he doesn't want anybody to know he's alive, and he lives in Canada.
Oh, wow.
So anyways, this kid comes up and says, oh yeah, my sax player says you play guitar. He goes, yeah, I do. And he goes, well, you want to join my band? He goes, well, you ought to learn how to play your guitar first. And they anyway, now let's fast forward towards the middle of the movie, where the kid finally gets this guy to be in the band. In fact, he actually ends up taking it over. And they're playing this music, and they can't get the sound. The kids all think they've got the sound. I'm saying 25 years old, whatever, 30 kids. They're not kids anymore. I don't know. Anyway, they couldn't find the sound. And he goes, hey, guys, we're not in the pocket. We're not in the pocket. Sit down. And they sit down. And the kid goes, well, what is intense? Because he goes, we're not intense. We got to find intense. And the kid says, well, what is intense? And they sit down, and all the movie gets real quiet. It's a badass thing he says. He goes, I was in the desert once. And you think it's quiet out there. But I heard a sound that you never hear out in the desert, out in the quiet. That's intense. And that was really a great part of the movie for me to relate to, because I've been in music. I'm never like Don or anything, but played a lot of guitar and stuff. And,
the absence of sound is also very powerful.
Yeah. Well, I guess, but I mean, out in the desert, you do hear something. Who sang it? A Horse with No Name, Neil Young.
Yeah.
Yeah, Horse with No Name. Out in the desert, where whatever. So why don't you highlight a little bit about your podcast show, and talk a little bit more deeply about it? Yeah, because that sounds like here we are podcasting with a podcaster.
Yeah. So I started off the first 3 months just doing solo episodes, and they are meant to be more educational. I'm talking about energy. I'm talking about my own experience with music and songwriting, and just, the personal experiences that I've grown through in my life and what's helped me.
Right.
And it's called Music as My Mantra. So the idea is that...
That's the name of the podcast.
Yes. Yeah.
Music, say it out there.
Music is my mantra.
Yeah. And how do they find it?
You can find it on all streaming platforms.
Oh, good.
Or on YouTube. YouTube is where the video is. So, yeah, the first few episodes, I really tried to dive into just the basic science of sound and how there's so many different studies nowadays that are proving that sound can help you to heal faster. And there's different, music helps with dementia and different.
Wow.
Yeah, lots of different cool studies. They're all like the past 10, 20 years that they've been coming through. And so I've been nerding out on it. There's science, there's stories.
Do you have guests?
I do. So I started having guests. My very first guest was a girlfriend of mine from childhood. She's actually the director of engagement over at the Grammy Museum. Wow. So we were both in band together growing up. Not a band, but marching band.
Yeah, band.
Yeah.
Every high school had, yeah.
And
one of the extracurricular activities.
Yeah. We were talking about how, man, like, why didn't we start a band back then? That would have been so cool. But I played clarinet, and guitar was really hard when I first started learning. So, and so I talk about like just the benefits of playing an instrument and how intention and music can really benefit your life,
Yeah, fantastic.
They say like the opposite of depression is expression.
Wow, great. Yeah.
So, you don't have to be a perfect singer or on American Idol or,
singer at all?
You really don't. Everybody has music in them. Everybody has a voice. And the not voice, the critic, the inner critic is the one that's always like, oh, you're not good enough. But there's so many amazing artists out there that have like weird voices or unique sounds. And
Bob Dylan,
Yeah.
Neil Young. Yeah, I mean, they had weird voices, but yet
yeah,
they made it big, yeah.
Nico from the Velvet Underground.
yeah.
What about like, oh my gosh, punk rock girl. I'm totally Cyndi Lauper.
Oh, Cyndi Lauper.
Cyndi Lauper was great.
Yeah.
She was good,
So everybody's voice is different, and I think especially for women, it's I've had all females so far on my podcast, but
get down on there. He's a musician.
Yeah. We could talk about your journey. That'd be pretty cool.
That'd be really
That'd
cool.
be great.
So a little bit about your family. I mean, you're here from Southern California, I'm assuming.
Yep, I was born in Newport Beach. We actually lived here in Huntington off of Bolsa Chica.
Cool.
And
Another local, everyone sees. That's how Don and I roll.
Yeah, I grew up mostly in Arizona. I went to high school and stuff out there. But my dad was still out here. My parents had divorced at that point in time. My grandpa started the car business in 1956. So we're coming up on a 70-year anniversary, which is very cool.
And where was the first one?
So the first one, oh man, I've heard a few different things, but as far as I'm aware, I believe it was a Volkswagen dealership in, it was Datsun.
Oh, I remember the Datsun.
In Whittier.
I had a Datsun truck.
Yeah. And so then he got into Volkswagen because my grandmother's brother was his business partner. But at the time, he was dating a woman whose dad owned a Porsche dealership. So that's how he got tied in with the Volkswagen.
Ah, okay.
And then he had North County and South County Volkswagen, which, Huntington Beach. We've had that store for about 40 years.
Wow.
So we just had
Can't
we had
believe
some buses
that's
out
right.
for
That
our
was a big
40th
celebration.
anniversary event. Yeah.
That's right.
And so my grandpa and my great uncle, I guess, started the business together, and they had sort of a family business breakup. And then
the drama of a family.
Yeah, and
we all have it.
They both went their own ways, and my grandpa brought my uncle in, and he is really the one that's responsible for growing the business to what it is today.
Wow.
Yeah, so basically in the 80s, my grandpa was like, oh, I'm out. I want to go to Hawaii. So he moved out there, and he had a bunch of stores out there. And then my uncle really took over and
made it big.
Yeah, so now there's like 11 stores.
Wow.
and 7 different brands.
They're all auto dealership groups now. Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, part of a group.
Yeah.
Any brothers or sisters?
Yeah, I have one sister. She lives in D.C.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
She's younger.
Younger than you,
and-
cool.
Yep.
Yeah. Stay in touch. And
Yeah, we're not super close, but when we get together, it's always a good time, and I love her.
yeah, okay. That's all that matters. We
Yeah.
love your family.
Yeah.
Well, let's get down to it. Let's talk about the
Yeah.
buses on the pier coming up.
Okay, very cool.
This is a good time to start promoting it. And
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
I've been promoting it the best I can on social media, and then other people have. But the city's been talking about it, and we have all the posters. The way I guerrilla marketed it the first time, I'm still kind of doing that.
Same thing.
Which is get posters on all the restaurants and stores in downtown Huntington Beach. But we expect a big crowd. It's already sold out. The city is only going to give me right to the end of the pier and then all of the plaza, which turns out to be 127 buses.
Wow.
I can't slice it and make it different or whatever.
It's what it is.
And I've
You can only
got
park it-
people beating down my door wanting to get in the event. And, I'd like to tell them yes, but I really have to, the city wants me to do this, like I've always done it. And I've always done it this certain way, not overdoing it and doing it exactly how they want it, leaving when they want. One of the things is required. Everybody has to have an oil drip.
Oh, yeah.
pan.
Of
Even if
course,
your
they all
bus does
leak.
not drip.
I don't know if
Well,
Just
some
in
buses
case.
don't, but the
Really?
majority of them do.
Yeah.
And so everybody has an oil drip pan, and on the registration form, that's in big bold letters, like you saw.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Everybody has to have an oil drip pan, but
Even the ID Buzz.
that's a good question. Actually,
I don't think that leaks. It's electric.
It's electric.
Yeah, my buddy Spencer Webster, he's got a 65 21 window, and it's all electric. He
Oh yeah,
did it himself.
yeah. He was at the pier last
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He's,
Yeah,
I
that's
think
a
this
cool
is his
bus.
third time.
Yeah.
And but I told him, even still, so he'll bring one.
Put it under it.
Yeah, because they don't know if it's electric or not, and I don't want them coming over and say, "Well, where's your drip?"
And make them leave. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, that'd be a
so,
bummer.
Anyway,
What is the official name of the event?
Well, it's
Is there one?
Buses
on the pier.
Buses on the pier?
Yeah, it's called Buses on the Pier, but that's only been the last. I think this is the third year that we've called it that. In the past, it was just called the Cowabunga Van Clan on the pier. But seeing all the different events, buses at the beach, buses by the bridge, I decided, let's just kind of
Make it
conform
a-
with that and
make it a
and
more of a
buses on the
generic.
pier because
Yeah.
the majority of the people that come to the event go to all these other events.
Yeah.
And so we have Robert Skinner. He's going to be bringing
Skinner Classics.
the Fast Times at Ridgemont High bus.
That's always there.
Yeah. Now last year he brought a different one, but there's going to be some insane buses there. I mean, if you're into VW buses,
Yeah.
and for me, it's all about the culture of the VW bus, how it is impacted the sport of surfing.
Oh yeah.
Growing up as a kid, everybody had a VW bus or some kind of VW.
A bus, a fastback.
Everybody has a
bug,
Volkswagen
yeah.
story.
Listen,
Yeah.
I've had
True.
a 66 Squareback, a 59 Carmen Ghia, a 72 camper. We had a 66 11 window that my brother and me, after I got out of the Army, we went down to Mexico. I stayed down there for 6 months surfing. Finally, my nose got sunburnt so many times I had to come back home because back then they didn't have sunscreen.
Yeah, no one told us about.
Kind of
Yeah,
baked.
we probably wouldn't look the way we did, the way we do now, if we would have known there was sunscreen available back then.
But so I've always been, VW guy. And then as time went on and I was in my job and had the tire company and that, I was making a little better money. So I switched from VWs to Porsches.
Oh.
And, I had some insane Porsches there for a while. I always had a couple of them. And then I dialed it back in 2015. I was with my buddy Steve Rockshani, and he had bought a camper. You know Rocco,
Yeah.
and I thought, well, I'll find me a bus I want to buy. So we go to this event in Costa Mesa, and it's all VW buses. And we're looking around, and I'm looking for buses, and we're there for 3 to 4 hours. I'm talking to people and just looking at different buses. And I say, forget it. Let's just go. I can't find one. And as we're leaving the event, there's a bus parked right next to the exit for sale. And it was my bus. It's a 6721 window, all original interior.
Beautiful.
And
you've changed nothing. It's the exact same
it's
way.
Exactly like I got it. But long story short, I told the guy, hey, I'd like to buy the bus. And he already had a guy from Europe and a guy from Japan that were fighting for it, to get it. And he didn't want it to leave Southern California. He wanted it to stay here.
How cool
And
is that?
so he goes, well, he gave me his phone number. He lived up in La Cañada, Flint Ridge, which is way up, and off the 14 freeway.
Yeah, it's way up there.
And so I drive up there to go look at it a couple of days later. And the guy interviews me for about longer than an hour. He wanted to make sure I was the right guy that bought his bus because he was the original owner.
If you only knew.
Yeah. And, he did.
Okay.
I met him again at Octo about a couple of years later, and he was, wow, you really did a good thing with the bus. And, but yeah, he was really serious about picking the right person. And then, like I just said, I saw him at Octo a couple years later in Long Beach at the Vet Stadium. They do a big event. In fact, that event's happening this year, the day before. The buses on the pier on May 31st, Saturday, they're doing that. Oh, yeah. But to have him, even remember me or whatever, he goes, wow, you really killed it. He goes, I didn't know that you were going to go that far with it.
So he was stoked that it went to the right guy for sure there.
Yeah, and so it's carried on pretty
well.
good,
One of the coolest things about Don's event, and so the first year, Karen and I drove our bus on the pier. Mm-hmm. And the second year, we parked it on the plaza over by the the Visit HB booth there. Mm-hmm. That's where he had to set up. And now this year, Don's got us going back on the pier. So Courtney, I don't know if you're going to ride in a bus, but you're more
we'll
than...
be on the pier.
Oh, you're bringing up a bus. You're going to ride on the pier?
Sorry, on the Pier Plaza.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
what I'm saying is if you haven't
driven on the pier,
jump in our bus with us.
Okay.
Yeah,
because
take that cruise.
It's
that I'm there.
Yeah, you got to ride with us or
less.
somebody. You got to ride. Be honored to have you in our bus. But we go up all the way to the end around the restaurant and then back.
That is pretty
and park.
trippy because normally you can't drive on that. At
it's
all.
so cool.
Yeah,
it's so cool. And you're going up as one line. Then you make the turn as you're coming back. The buses are doing this. They're going right by each other. Everybody's high-fiving, beeping. Oh, it's
and then
cool.
you got Vegas Micah doing the videos. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
And we'll get Alejandro there with the drone and stuff and do some video for us too. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Yes.
So go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I love this day because it really just showcases how versatile the bus is.
Oh, yeah.
And how people live still to this day with their van, with their, their whole, like each bus is themed, and has totally a different vibe. It's just so cool to see.
And attached to each bus is story. One of the coolest things about
setups are so nice.
One of the coolest things about corporate when they did the International Bus Day is when, I forget who it was, he got up and he talked about the history of the Volkswagen bus, from the plumber to the hippie to the surfer, to the contractor, to everybody that used a bus for their trade or their art or whatever they did, traveling bands and stuff. And it was so amazing to see the photos that they were flashing, to see that. I grew up a hot rodder. Don knows my background big in the hot rod industry. I have been all my life. And the hot rod industry, everyone calls it a hobby because it really is. Hot rod is a hobby.
Yeah.
The VW bus is legendary for being a lifestyle.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is cool. I mean, you look at Volkswagen in general, so many years past, with that many stories and that many different walks of life that drove a bus. Or a sedan, or a wagon, or a bug, or a Baja bug,
GTI,
or whatever.
Rabbit.
Whatever. Yeah, any of them.
We've got only a few manual GTIs left at the store, and I just wanted to say that because I'm going to sell them before the month is over. So if anyone's looking for a manual GTI, come find me.
So on the pier, this is the second year for this guy. You know the guy in that orange bus that has the thing that goes up in the air?
Oh, yeah,
You know,
yeah.
like to do tree trimming or
Yeah,
fixed lights.
yeah, all that.
Oh, the crane or
Yeah,
lift thing?
yeah. He's got the crane. He'll be there again.
Oh, good.
Of course,
That was crazy.
yeah, and I'm going to get Micah there to video him raising it up and putting it up right there just to...
Should have him do a surfboard or something. Carry a surfboard. Do
I
something
don't know.
kind of
Yeah,
different.
it's,
Make
you
it
know,
part of the show.
Yeah, I mean, that's totally different than any other thing that's ever done any of my events is that one with the...
Yeah, that was...
the
There was
crane.
like a cool trailer build out too at one of the corners.
Yeah. Yeah.
forget.
That was
Just
right by
like
the...
so many different unique.
Yeah, the old fish and
things.
bait store. He was out
Yeah.
there camping.
Yeah.
Also, there's going to be this guy has put an Airstream on the back of his bus. And so he'll be here too. Robert, Robert
didn't I-
Skinner's having him come with him.
It's a bus and it tows a small one.
No, it's a bus, and he took the whole bus off it, or he's got the front of the bus, and then it's like a single cab, and on the back cab of it he
It's
put
an
an
Airstream.
Airstream.
Unreal.
Yeah, and it's really cool looking.
Unreal.
I think I saw that on Instagram.
Yeah.
They call it like the turtle or something.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, yeah,
cool.
that'll be there this year. So I mean, and then there's some insane buses. A couple guys are coming from Idaho that are bringing their buses. I got guys coming from Oregon and
Now, what about the gal from
Tahoe.
Palisades?
As I mean, it was she was coming, and now she's kind of fallen off the.
Oh,
I don't know where she is. Because I never had her phone number. We were just talking through Instagram, and I sent her messages. Yeah, let's do it. And then the last I heard from her, she was still looking for a place to live. And then I've got Aggie, and I've got another one of his friends want to take the bus and completely redo it for her
Wow.
for free.
That would be so cool.
And I've kind of told her that, so we'll see. I
what
know
happens,
it's coming up, but I don't.
Hope she makes it. That'd be great if she
Yeah.
did.
Yeah, I mean the plan was to VHB was going to help me do a QR code where people could scan and donate it to the fire recovery.
Oh, that's a
and
great
also,
idea.
Yeah, that's really
the
smart.
Red Cross up there.
Well,
in
you still do that. You're still
Isabel
doing
Town.
that, right?
Yeah, we're donating
Yeah.
money to both of those. But to be able to have that bus there and showcase it and have that one picture that people have all seen all over the news and that.
Yeah, that was so wild. I had thought that was AI.
Oh yeah, people thought it was Photoshop.
Yeah, because
was.
it looks like it's
Yeah.
so beautiful, but one side's burnt that you don't see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, she had went to go surfing. She parked her bus right there, and really didn't know much about the fires. When she got back to her bus, the police wouldn't let her go in the next street over to grab her bus. The whole place was starting to evacuate. She couldn't go get it. That's why
that's a
it was
bummer.
there.
All right. So, Courtney, what's your involvement in the show this year?
So this year, we are bringing a bus, whether that's a buzz or a bus.
We don't know yet.
Not sure yet. Gotta confirm those details. I also have been working on something which I actually haven't even told you yet, Don.
Okay.
Oh, here it is now. Yeah.
So what better time to surprise you?
It's hard for him to say no with a whole audience watching his show. Yeah. So good.
Yeah.
She is smart. Huh? She's got it down, Don.
Well, so
Work it.
we had the ID Buzz launch party in December. We had a bunch of awesome classic buses there.
Yeah.
And we had a bunch of amazing local artists from all over Huntington
I
Beach,
was there,
Southern
yeah, it was
California.
great.
And we still have some pieces up in our showroom that are for sale. So if you guys haven't been over to our showroom at Volkswagen on Beach Boulevard, check them out.
Oh yeah.
They're still hanging on the
super
wall.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah. And working with Ricky Blake, like he just introduced me to so many cool people and talented artists.
He's very connected.
Yeah, it was awesome. And we even got the original artist of Endless Summer to come.
Yeah. John Van Hammersveld.
He was there. Is he coming to the...
I got to interview him. Well, so from that, the people who own the licensing of Bruce Brown Films and the Endless Summer reached out, and they've been wanting to collaborate. And we've had sort of a long list of people who wanting to buy the bus, so we haven't had a buzz to give them, basically. But they are in the process of doing a Endless Summer license plate that's yellow, and it's got the surfers on there, and it's so fun. It's all of the proceeds go to the Coastal Conservatory, and we've been putting this plan together for buses on the pier that if people come to our McKenna Volkswagen table and sign up in advance to get the license plate, then they'll also get a Endless Summer poster for free, which is, I think the poster is around $80 and the license plate is like $55 or something. So you're getting, basically a free great poster. And so, Endless Summer license plates, Endless Summer pictures. And I just thought that would be like a fun thing to offer.
I think that's a great idea. I like it. Yes.
Okay, cool. I'm glad.
No, I mean, I can't do that.
Yeah, it's your table. It's your booth. You paid for it. You can do whatever you want there. You get done.
Well, it's just so cool how you've been able to bring so many people together, because I just feel like I am really good at planning events, but all of the things like this, for example, came together because of the love of Volkswagen and the love of Huntington Beach and the community and the strength of, the connections that are made from Don Ramsey.
Yeah. So just after I got my bus, it was a no-brainer for me. Let's start doing them, putting them down Main Street, because you're in Huntington Beach. This is Surf City. It's part of our culture. Is a VW bus. I always tell people it's not really a car show. It's a showcase and a lifestyle that has been here for
ever.
60,
I don't know.
70
You know what we
years.
should do? We should get a bunch of surfers who have grown up with the buses. Like I've got, 5 or 6 photos of me and a Baja bug, couple Baja bugs, 2 buses.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so we should get some of the old pictures and share them, or put them together somehow. Maybe a collage or something.
Send them to me. I'll put them together
we'll
for
do
you.
something really
That'd be
cool.
really
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
Surfers in their buses back in the day.
I got a picture with me and my 66 Squareback. But what I was going to tell you right now, China is in town, China National Geographic. And so they got a hold of Visit Huntington Beach, and they want to do a whole story of the surfing culture, but they wanted a VW bus with surf racks and surfboards and all that. So I get a hold of my buddy, Danny Skaggs, who's going to be at the pier. He's always been there. And so he's a guy who surfs out of his VW bus. So they're going to do a National Geographic thing about the surfing culture in Huntington Beach.
Unreal.
With a VW bus, and then there's going to be a national TV in China
That's
where
so
millions
cool.
of people. So they're in
Billions,
town. They're in town right now. They went to the Surf Museum and filmed a little video in there, and they spent all day today from like 12 to 4 with my buddy. Just showcasing the whole lifestyle of VW buses in Huntington Beach.
Were you behind the PT was telling me, he sent me a video from France that they did a feature on.
Yeah, they did. They came here.
Yeah. Same thing, surfing, Volkswagen.
Actually, I was the one that was supposed to do that, and I go, "Hey guys, I was going to the dentist that day, and I had a really bad toothache.
Oh no!
So I couldn't go with Pat Burns, but I said, hey, Don's a better fit anyway. Call Don, and they got Don, and there it was. He turned out.
So
I read the
cool.
whole article. It was badass.
Yeah,
that was a very nice spread.
Yeah, but she's talking about something different.
Oh,
but point made.
just other stuff.
Yeah.
That was
the Daily Planner.
Yeah, from the United Kingdom.
Yeah,
they came and
Daily.
interviewed about surfing in Huntington Beach and all that. Yeah, and I had people calling me and texting me, "Hey, I saw your article." And my brother called me from Santa Barbara. Wow, you were on that whatever.
I kicked myself about it. But
But
That's
anyway,
so cool.
it's just the whole thing behind surfing and our culture here in Huntington Beach. I don't want to ever let it slip away, and it's not that it's going to.
Yeah, it can't.
But just to be part of it my whole life, and like I said, VW bus. Last thing I want to share was, so I get out of the Army in February of 1974, and I'm in station at Fort Huachuca in Sierra Vista, Arizona. After I got back from overseas, because of my job, they made me stay in the last 6.5 months that I had going. Usually you'd come back from overseas, because this is during the Vietnam War. Actually, the war had ended, but I was a medic in the Army during the Vietnam War. And when I got back, they made me stay, and I was kind of angry about it. I wanted out, and I had served my time. I did my job, but they made me work in this other hospital. So I worked there, and my brother comes and picks me up in the 6611 window VW bus, and so we leave Fort Huachuca, and I'm just so stoked, because I know that we're going down to Mexico for 6 months and surfing in San Blas, and I just,
You were there.
yeah,
That's so cool.
I was just so happy. But what I did is I took my bed sheet and wrote F the Army.
Oh, did you?
Lifers suck. Because I was just pissed about it, because I wanted out so bad. I'd missed so much of the culture that I'm from. And I was put in a situation where I was really well educated, taught really well. And when I got over there, I knew exactly what to do. I worked in this burn ward and all this stuff.
Wow.
And
Thank you for your service.
yeah, so when I get out, I hung that sheet. And we're driving in the VW bus, and I'm looking back, and looking through the VW bus and looking out the back window, and I see that big sheet right there, just kind of waving in the wind like that. And, oh wow, I mean, that was because I knew my life was
Freedom.
my life is going to go back to the way it was.
Wow.
I got out in '79, and my brother picked me up at the airport, and first thing we did, go grab boards and paddle out.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause I came home on leave. I just wasn't into it. My head was, I came on leave a couple times, but I had shin splints a couple times. That was a mess, but I was glad to get out too. Yeah, it wasn't a life for me. Anyway, this is anything else you want to add? Well, first off, days, dates, times of the pier show.
Okay, so the Cowabunga Van Clan on the Huntington Beach Pier, buses on the pier event, is Sunday, June 1st.
Yeah.
Officially starting at 8 a.m. and goes till 4 p.m. And it's been rated the #1 VW bus event in the world 3 times.
Yeah.
From Ultra VW magazine, has come from France to do a big spread on it. And they say it's the best show they've ever seen. And they go to all over South America and Europe. And, the VW bus shows are great, but when you get to do them on the Huntington Beach Pier,
it's breathtaking.
Yeah.
How do you choose? Like, there's so many buses that I know that you've come across.
Well, first off, you got to choose Don Ramsey as your co-host for your podcast show, so you're guaranteed a spot or a kick his ass.
Well, but yeah, how do I choose?
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of the buses already.
Yeah.
And a lot of them I want to showcase at different spots. Some of them are parked way down there, but they're camping and they're set. They set up for camping.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of people who, put me out as far as I can go. That's just how they want it. Then there'll be a whole group of with the canopies, coming out. I usually put them right out there, just past Tower Zero.
Yeah, on the other side.
Yeah. And then there's a bunch of female girl VW bus owners. I like to keep them all together.
All together, yeah.
Yeah. But it'll be a great show.
I tell you, for those of you in podcast land that have never seen, a Volkswagen bus show,
Yeah.
it's like a car show. Any hot rod car show or anything you would go to, it's a car show, but it's VW buses, and it's not like a normal hot rod car show, because you're actually opening these double doors.
people
you
are
got barn
parked.
doors that are opening in the back. You've got
There's
engine
tables and chairs.
You
and
got
people cooking.
Yeah, they set up their theme around their
Yeah.
bus. It's just breathtaking.
And
It's
there are
beyond,
bikes and cruisers.
you got surfboards. I mean, skateboards. Everything is involved in this bus show.
Yeah.
And your camera will just go wild because you can't stop taking pictures.
Yeah.
That's how much fun it is. It's a
It took
great
me
day.
months to get through my
I hope we
photos
get the
from
sun
last
this
year.
year. No June gloom this year. No
Yeah.
June gloom. For
Yeah,
God's sake.
there you go.
Anything last for Courtney, Don?
No, I'm just glad that I get to know her and
Yeah.
and watch her cultivate her relationship with Volkswagen. Really.
You know, Courtney, it is true. You know, your essence of sincerity and loyalty and, you know, the beauty that comes out of you, you know, it just,
Thank you.
I've never seen you once walk around without a smile on your face, you know? Pouring rain, it was raining like crazy that day at the show, and you're just walking around laughing and smiling. Everything's cool, you know?
Well, I have to tell you, you know, Vipe, for everybody listening, he's referencing Surfscape.
Oh, yeah.
And it was raining all day Saturday. But I was so happy because we had a tent on top of the Subaru Forester, and I was joking with Vipe. I was like, yeah, I'm sleeping here tonight. And he was like, oh yeah, that's fine. There's people camping. They're like, they'll take care of you. They're going to barbecue. And I was like, when would I ever get the opportunity to like actually sleep at the beach?
In a bus, yeah.
Yeah, well, in the Forester, it's
Oh, the
a
Forester,
Thule
yeah.
tent top.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had 4 different cars there on display. So I didn't tell my uncle, but I slept in the tent.
You did.
It was
now
so
you're
fun.
gonna know.
Yeah, I know.
You're busted.
No,
You're busted.
but there was like a whole group of overlanders and, you know, overnight security and everything. So it was totally fine.
It was funny. Just before I was walking up to go say hi to Courtney. She was on the other side of the IPA booth, like one row over. And I was walking down, and it had rained. There was a big puddle.
It was so cold.
And I just saw her, and I was walking towards her, and my feet hit the puddle, and literally I shuffled, and my feet, socks, I was soaking wet. I was like, oh
man.
God. I was like, and I'm walking up, and I didn't know if she saw. I was like, oh, how embarrassing is this?
I didn't see it.
Just go. I mean, all the way up my pants, about that far up. My pants were all soaking wet and stuff. I had to have Karen. She was still coming over. She didn't want to leave the house because she was going to walk from our house, and it was still raining.
That was a
and I
fake
said, well,
out.
put a pair of dry socks in your purse for me when you walk over because I need them. Yeah, it was raining kind of bad. But you were smiling the whole time. You just enjoyed the heck of it, and that's cool.
Well, it's nice to actually get to connect with the other vendors and people running the show and that sort of thing, you know, because normally when there's so many people that are coming through, I'm just trying to talk to as many people as possible. And yeah, it was a little more of a chill day by surprise. It was kind of a nice break.
It turned out to be okay. It was
Yeah.
fun, yeah. Wish
Yeah.
the sun was out.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
thank you, Courtney, for
Good event.
Thank you for having me. Yeah. Yeah, that was fun.
thanks for joining us on this great episode of HB Unplugged.
My pleasure.
Courtney McKenna from Newport Beach. And where do you live now?
I live in Manhattan Beach.
Oh, wow, cool. So you drove down here for this.
Yeah, you know, I drive down here like every day pretty
yeah?
much.
I
should
lived
probably
in
just move down here, but
I actually lived in Hermosa Beach for about a year.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just before I moved back here to Huntington Beach, I was up there
Hermosa's
with a
nice.
friend of mine,
Yeah.
and yeah, it was pretty cool to you know, ride our bikes on the Strand. We think
Yeah.
our Strand's cool. That,
I love the Strand. up
that
there.
is, I
It's
mean,
so
it can
nice.
literally go from Redondo or Torrance on the Strand all the way to
Santa Monica.
You go to Venice Beach, yeah, all the
Yeah.
way to Santa Monica.
Yeah, it's
Plus
pretty cool.
past that a little ways, yeah.
Yeah.
Palisades and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, I love it up there. I was in New York for about a decade, and then I just wanted to be close to the airport because I was going back to the city quite like once a month, and I'd never thought that I'd actually start working in automotive. So, but here we are. Yeah, and I feel very blessed.
You're a car girl with car guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Girls rock.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Courtney. Don, thank you very much for hosting Courtney this time. I was
good.
so stoked you brought her on board, and he told me, yeah, let's get Courtney on the show.
Oh.
Because I'm one that I like to mix it up. I don't, like you're saying you've had all women so far. Well, we've had a lot of guys, and I go, come on down, we got to get somebody.
Yeah, it's really cool to
had a
see.
few women,
There's definitely more females in automotive and in a lot of different, traditionally male roles, like across lots of different jobs.
Well, in
But,
the car care
yeah.
industry, in my training programs, we're seeing about a 38% increase in women
That's so cool.
becoming professional detailers now.
Yeah.
that we've never. It's record numbers. It's unreal to see how many women are coming in this industry.
Our service manager for both Subaru and Volkswagen, she is a female.
Oh wow! Yeah.
And we have a female working in our shop now.
Well, now that I've trained so many in the car care industry, I've learned this. Women in my industry, women pay more attention to the detail. They're easier to train, easier for me to teach, and they're more open to the training. And they're better business people.
Hey.
And all across the board. I'm telling you. Guys out there in car handling, watch out. The women are taking over. I'm Mel Craig.
And I'm Don Ramsey.
And thanks for joining us for another episode of HB Unplugged. And our guest this time was Courtney McKenna. All right, great.
Thank you, guys.
Fantastic. Thank you.